scholars, and they just keep doing it. And he's just fumbling for his words because he's lying, you know? But what's fascinating about that video to me is these are University of Texas students. They get together, they get in class, they get good phones, whatever. They get on the net, they get the data, they start pulling it all in, and within a group of them, maybe a couple guys, they put something out on YouTube that is so damning, they keep doing it over and over again. I mean, here you have the mainstream media, which costs millions of dollars, and these University of Texas are doing way better journalism than we ever see on mainstream TV. It's clear. So it's hard to determine which of the lies is worse. I mean, it's just when you dig into it and you want to hear who's done it, it goes so deep. But one of my favorites is the passport one, where we know who did it because we found their passport. The FBI happened to find their passport in the street after you can't find engines or whatever from the aircraft or the titanium. So I'm thinking maybe you should find out what those passports are made of, that paper. We can start making our planes and our buildings out of it, and we'll all be safe, because that's miraculous stuff. Or the flight recorders, aircraft flight recorders are so indestructible. It's absolutely amazing, the technology behind them to keep the data safe and be able to detect them. And they said there weren't any. And there were firemen who say, no, we watched them bring the flight recorder boxes out. And finally they released the one at the Pentagon in 2006. They fessed up. The 9/11 pilots for 9/11 Truth went over the data flight recorder. They said, well, why is the plane 400 feet above the Pentagon when it hits? No answers. That kind of stuff. And what's neat about the internet now is people sharing it. It's pictures are worth so much, and you get these memes out there. And here we have the Pentagon that was attacked, and there's 3 cameras on it, right? And what are they? Are they those deep inert cameras that batteries are flashing light? Because the best picture we get out of it is a fireball. Meanwhile, in the same period, we have a rock that's 60 million miles away on Mars, and there's a clear picture of it. You know what I mean? How does that work? How does that balance out? Pretty easy to see. Or in this case, this one was funny, is the car on the right, the lamppost just fell over and smashed the car. The one on the left was on Newsweek magazine. It hit the news. Is this guy was driving along, and the plane clipped the pole, the lamppost, and the lamppost went right through his front windshield. This is supposed to be taken after they've taken it out. There's no markings on the lamppost. Like, an aircraft has clipped the lamppost doing, supposedly 200-300 kilometers an hour. There's nothing on it, and the thing didn't even dent the hood. It made a perfect hole through the window. And there's a video by 9/11 Truth, pilots for 9/11 Truth, where they got this guy and they went around with him and trying to get his story, because it didn't make sense. The guy's fumbling. You can see how nervous he is. So they leave the camera on the back seat on. And they, kind of get him comfortable. And they say, so what's up? He goes, man, you don't want to mess with these people. This is way above me, or this. And, he fessed up that he was set up to it. Pretty nasty. So the cover-up, right? So they did this big commission, and the guy put in charge of the commission is this man by the name of Henry Kissinger. We'll back to him later. Families for 9/11 Truth got him kicked off his lead of the commission because of his ties to Saudi Arabia, because already there was evidence showing that there was trading and stuff going on. So he was taken off the lead. But more remarkably is it took 441 days to get the investigation going. And when you look at the money invested, they put $14 million into the commission, but to find out whether or not Bill Clinton got a blowjob, they invested $20 million. It's quite interesting. So each chapter in the book is written with a multimedia environment, the fact that pictures and videos and YouTube and references. People don't really check references in books anymore. So I embed the references. Go check this out, right? Right in the book, and there'll be a link, and there's a website. In the website, there's a chapter for each one, a section. And all the scholarly papers are there for 9/11 that I can find. All the websites of independent organizations, and a bunch of documentaries. So you really have to not want to know what's going on, because it's written there, and you can go and check it out, and make an easy point and click, and somebody can get all the data they want. Each chapter is done the same way. So number 2 is the money myth. So I start figuring out, okay, 9/11 is bullshit. What else is going on? I'm political science, right? I did that, and you're supposed to learn about government. And I realized that I didn't know anything about money, because when I went to finance at McGill, I'm a CPA, and I learned stuff about finance, and then I came across this documentary called The Wizard of Oz, basically. And it's about the fact that the Wizard of Oz story is an allegory for the financial system. Incredible documentary. And I find out that my understanding of the monetary system is completely flawed. Like the foundation, it's like I went to McGill and they taught me how to build the top, but we never looked at the foundation of the system. quite messed up. So, what is money when we get down to it? So we need to trade. Can't trade donkeys, right? Kind of hard. So we need a medium of exchange, and that's what money is to begin with. After that, it's a system of trust, right? Because we've seen currencies come and go through history, if you study monetary history. Money always doesn't last. It depends on our trust. You agree that this little piece of paper is going to be worth $5 or $10 or whatever it is. When that trust is lost, it has no value because it's just a piece of paper, right? Electronic currencies are scarier that way. So our monetary system is based on trust, and that accumulation of trust between individuals makes the system work, right? So I want to read from you a couple sections on money. And I'm just going to do a couple because it's a very long history of money that's in here. But Benjamin Franklin said, "In the colonies we were issued our own money. It is called colonial script. We control its purchasing power and we have no interest to pay to no one." This is after he was visiting the poorhouses in England. They asked him how they handled their poor. America didn't have any at that time because they were creating their own money and putting it to good use. So, here's a quote. "It is advisable to do all in your power to sustain such prominent daily and weekly newspapers, especially the agricultural and religious press, as will oppose the greenback issue of paper money." So at this time the United States wants to issue another greenback at another point in time. It's 1877. Their own currency, right? "To repeal the act creating banknotes or to restore to circulation the government issues of money will be to provide the people with money and will therefore seriously affect our individual profits as bankers and lenders. See your congressman at once and engage him to support the interests that we may control legislation." James Buell of the American Bankers Association in 1877. So just to give you an idea, this is, we don't find this stuff in print anymore. But the same stuff is happening. It's the same exercise. History is repeating itself. "Whomever controls the volume of money in any country is absolutely master of all industry and commerce. And when you realize that the entire system is easily controlled, one way or another, by a few powerful men at the top, you will not have to be told how a period of inflation and depression originate." 1881, President James Garfield. He was killed a couple weeks later, as were any president who actually tried to do anything about that. 1894, "We will not renew our loans under any consideration. On September 1st, we will demand our money. We will foreclose and become mortgagees in possession. We can take 2/3 of the farms west of the Mississippi and thousands in the east of the Mississippi at our own price. Then the farmers will become tenants as in England." American Bankers Association. "The silver certificates and treasury bonds, that is to say, all the government money, must be retired, and interest-bearing national bank notes made the only money. You will once retire 1/3 of your circulation, your paper money, and call in 1/2 of your loans. Be careful to make any money among your patrons, especially among influential businessmen. The future of our debt-based money system depends upon immediate action, as there is an increasing sentiment in favor of government legal tender notes, silver coinage." So at this point in the 1890s, there's a battle for the monetary system in the United States, whether the government issues money or whether the government borrows money from international bankers, right? "We must keep the people busy with political antagonisms. We will therefore speed up the question of reform on tariffs within the Democratic Party, and will put the spotlight on the question of protection for the Republican Party. By dividing the electorate this way, we will be able to have them spending their energy